the Overman Warrior Podcast.
Hi, Rich Hoffman here. So I got to say, I was very upset about this judge in Washington trying to put a halt on Trump's big, beautiful ballroom. And I put forth the legal mechanism for Trump to win that case. It's pretty clear. Precedent's been set. There's a lot of things about the White House that's aging and it needs an update. And the role of the White House has changed a lot over the years. Now, when you go to the Visitor Center for the White House and you study about the history, the White House was deliberately made a little bit small so that, for one, back in the day, America did not have the top economy in the world. It just didn't want to. It was coming out of the War of 1812, and you didn't really want to stick your finger in the eye of the rest of the world and show yourself to be a threat to the aristocracy of Europe and the other places around the world. You wanted to downplay it and show that it's three branches of government. The executive branch is one branch. They're not kings. We don't elect kings in the United States, and that was why it was kind of deliberately set to be small. We don't have kings. We have elected representatives. We're in the executive branch, the judicial, and then, of course, the representative class of Congress and the Senate. So the legislature. So the White House was purposely made small. So I had an opportunity to go visit the White House just a couple days ago from this recording. I really appreciate everybody who helped make it happen. It was during cherry blossom season, 2026. It's a hard... I had a long story, but I had other engagements in Washington, D.C. that I had to attend to. And while I was there on a short schedule, I wanted to set up a visit to the White House. So thank you to a lot of good people. Ben at Warren Davidson's office, Congressman Warren Davidson. My good friend Nancy Nix. She doesn't want me to embarrass her, but it was a short arrangement, and I really for my wife, she's been really sentimental about the White House, especially since Trump's been in there. And we went there last year. Again, other things going on in Washington that I was there for. We went to the White House, but we couldn't get, it was short notice because some of these meetings are arranged within 1 or 2 days. And we could not get all the stuff cleared to get into the White House. So we walked the grounds, went around, and did things all around the White House, just kind of enjoy the fact that Trump was there and that the world was much better with Biden out of the White House and Trump in it. So here we're back in Washington. I was again kind of short notice. This time I had about 3 weeks notice, which is kind of within the visitor window. You have to go through a kind of a process these days, and they have to kind of accept you, and then they send you confirmations that they're going to see you and all that kind of thing, and it's pretty nice. It's a good thing to do, and if you get a chance to do it, you have to do it through your representative, Senate or the House. I tried Bernie Moreno actually first, and Bernie, I guess, he couldn't. It was too short notice for his office, but a lot of good people at Warren Davidson's office got behind the effort, and I was able to go with my wife. So thank you. It was really good, and I appreciate it a lot. And the tour, and I'll talk about that more too, because I also was able to get a tour from of the Capitol building itself, different than the normal tour you go to the visitor center and get. And it was great. And I learned there's a whole lot there. behind the scenes stuff that I really enjoyed seeing. So big thanks to Congressman Warren Davis and his staff and all the work they did to make it happen. Because what I wanted to know, because we're talking about the big beautiful ballroom, the question is it necessary? Do a bunch of administrators and bureaucrats have a right to stop it, to put it through some sort of pigeonhole of approval process where you put this into the government track where it takes so long to do anything, and then by the time you actually get anything done, a whole new administration's there, and my argument is, well, we elected Trump to do Trump things, and that big beautiful ballroom is a Trump thing, and we really expect it to look good and to happen. So it's been on my mind for quite some time, but I wanted to see the White House. I've been there before, but it's been a number of years. The 90s, I was there last, except for the one last year where we walked the grounds. This time I wanted to go inside and actually see what's going on inside that you see on the news all the time. The little meeting rooms, the green room, red room, blue room, yellow, all the rooms. You see them again with knowing what I know now about how those things work, those functions work, and where do people come when they visit the White House, and how do they come into the building and pull up where Trump greets them? How's that all look? What's it look like to people visiting the White House? And to be honest with you, and I love the White House. I have books, stacks of books on the White House and its history, and I love the storied elements of it. And I love the premise of getting started by saying, look, we're not kings. We're going to downplay the role of the executive branch across the world and not let any executive branch member get too lofty of a head. But over the years, the White House has taken on a huge meaning, a huge role in the world, and we're the only superpower left. And there's a lot of elements out there that are trying to eliminate that. And so it's actually a Marxist movement that really lingers in the judicial branches. They've studied for many years in academia Marxist ideas, even though they don't think of themselves that way. I can tell you, when they go to have dinner over in Georgetown and you're eating a late night wine tasting with your pinky out, eating all the fancy food they have over there with other members of the academic community and the three-lettered agencies, and everybody feels very lofty about how important they are. What gets lost is this tendency. Most of them have been taught about Marxism and diminishing America's role as a capitalist country. And that means taking down the value of everything, get rid of all superpowers so you can collapse everything into a global government that is going to be Marxist. And the model they plan to use is China. It's always been, including all the finance models. There's a lot of hostile elements out there that have been hard at work to destroy America as an American icon. And they certainly don't want to see a president like Trump, who loves to make the insides of his buildings gold. He did that before he was president. It's one of the reasons we elected him. And then to take this White House and put it on an elevated state. Now, the world has come to expect more lofty impressions from the White House when they visit, because they go to other places in the world and there are much more lofty circumstances that is presented. And it's time for America to show itself that way. So the East Wing was always where you came in and toured, and visitors to visiting the White House would go in that way. And the First Lady would often run her office out of that part of the White House. And visiting this time, I wanted to see the demolition process. And the way they have it worked out is they have like a little covered tent that you can go to where the coat check is. Now, when you go to the White House for a big event, there's just not room inside the White House anymore for big events. So Trump's not exaggerating when he says setting up tents outside where everybody's heels are sinking in the grass. It's true. And notice that the coat check, and we're in April, so they had to kind of have it so people visiting the White House had a place to put their coats, but there's nowhere inside the White House to do it. So they have a coat check set up outside and like a tent bubble that's kind of climate controlled to kind of separate everybody from the elements. And I'll tell you, it looks very tacky. So my wife and I looked at all the demolition, and I think it looks great. The proposal looks incredible. It's going to be a great addition. And back in the day when the White House was originally built and all these buildings were built, you have a creative process with all these different presidents being elected and put in office. You don't want a bunch of administrative pinheads who really slow things down. That's what NASA's been going through for years. You need less administrative pinheads and more action. And what you need is a decisive guy who builds things quick, and Trump's a builder, and we kind of expected him to do this to the White House when he was elected. So you go to the White House now, you see the demolition. It looks like a perfect spot for this big, beautiful ballroom. It's going to be a great place for visitors to come in. Plenty of room for coat checks, plenty of room for bathrooms. You don't have to have like a porta potty outside or outside bathrooms. That's tacky. Should not have it at the White House. And when visitors are coming, they certainly should see the best of what America has to offer and not a dingy old building. So not to put down the White House at all. I think it's great, and history is great, and the reverence and the ideology of it is great, wonderful, but it needs to be updated. Walking it now, knowing what I know politically about the world and where America has evolved to, the rooms are small. The downstairs, it's not big enough for all the activities that go on at the White House. Not at all, not even close. And no wonder the president spends most of his time at the West Wing, because there's just not enough. There's not enough room. Not enough room by any measure at the White House as it is. And even the residence, it probably looked bigger to me in the 90s, but it's not really big enough for a family to live up there. It's not big enough. So the White House needs a ballroom. No question about it. And the whole White House needs really a facelift. And if we're going to do tours there and visit, you really almost need to rebuild it. And keeping the original White House the way it is a good idea for the museum qualities of it. But for the function of America's role in the world, you really need the ballroom to update the entire grounds for the way that the presidency in the United States is going to be projected to the world, and anybody that visits needs somewhere to go. And you don't need to be out in the carpet with a tent like you're at a wedding that just put something up on a golf course somewhere. It needs to be a residence where it's all comfortable. Bathrooms are easily accessible, especially when you're all dressed up. When I go to these things, I always wear a suit, jacket. You don't go to the White House without being dressed up, as far as I'm concerned. You certainly don't show up looking like a common, like you're getting ready to go to Chuck E. Cheese or anything. You dress in a suit. And until you've walked the White House that way, and then thinking about staying a while and attending social events that are going to go on for 3 or 4 hours in an evening, and you need places to accommodate restrooms, talking, and wearing attire back and forth that is appropriately monitored and cared for. The White House is desperately in need of becoming much bigger. And the ballroom is part of that. It certainly needs it. What we don't need are pinheaded administrators stopping things and causing trouble and disruption. So the appeals process for Trump should be easy, given the precedents that are out there. But when people are wondering and speculating about Trump, the way Trump does things, the speed for which he does things, should we have administrative breaks to slow him down? No, because you get one little moment in time to do these kinds of things. You get people like Trump who can do it. And when people say, well, how's he, what kind of influence will all these donors going to have over the Trump administration? Trump, I think his salary is over $400 million a year. And he's put a lot of money into all this stuff. He don't take any salary for being president. He's doing it for free. So a lot of people who donate that $400 million, even though it sounds like a lot, it's not that much in the scheme of things, especially the people who give that kind of money. They just want to be a part of history. It's like buying a brick for, some wall or some sidewalk that people are making. These kinds of people are donating money, not expecting anything special out of the White House, but to contribute to its history and a much needed upgrade. and Trump is putting some of his own money into it. So yeah, that should answer everybody's thing. Seeing it just the other day, as I did with my wife, and seeing the East Wing all tore down and going into the yellow room and seeing where the corridor is going to go into the next room where the ballroom will be, makes perfect sense. And it's the kind of idea that a designer, builder would come up with and contribute his part to the great story of the White House. But does it need it? You bet it needs it. It needs it really bad. The White House is way, way, way too small for the role that it plays in global politics. The ballroom is needed and needs to be done quickly. No judges out there should be allowed to halt anything about it. It needs to go as fast as the speed of business and then some. Ballroom is needed for the White House. White House is too small. Anyway, Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you ever read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.
Thank you for listening.